Hello, how are you? I'm fine, thank you. Sit down, please. I'd like to speak English today too, to improve my speaking skill. Let's get it started. Today, it is March 28th, 2023. It's on Tuesday, and sunny outside. How are you spending Tuesday today? Do you have a work or a school? Or do you have a day off today? Some people might have a spring vacation. Some people might be in a spring vacation now. Fiscal year fiscal year starts from April 1st in Japan. So during that time, some people have spring vacation from end of March. How are you spending the spring? Are you enjoying cherry blossom viewing? Are you enjoying cherry blossom viewing? Or you don't have the interest? To my surprise, my flight corresponded to the one with Prime Minister. To my surprise, my flight corresponded to the one with the Prime Minister. Prime Minister. Prime Minister. To my surprise, my flight corresponded to the one with the Prime Minister. Unfortunately, the concert corresponded to my working day. Unfortunately, the concert corresponded to my working day. Unfortunately, the date of the concert corresponded to my working day. The fingerprint left by the criminal corresponded to the one on the record. The fingerprint left by the criminal corresponded to the one in the data. The fingerprint left by the thief corresponded to the one recorded in the data. So soon he was arrested. If the both email address and password don't correspond to each other, no, if the both email address and password don't correspond to what you have created, you cannot log in. If the both email address and password don't correspond to what you decided when you created this account, you cannot log in. But most of the time, if you forget password, maybe the new one will be sent to your email address. By filling out some information of yourself. If the both email address and password don't correspond to what you created before, you cannot log in. But most of the case, if you forget the password, the new one will be sent to your email address by answering some questions. If the both email address and password don't correspond to what you created, you cannot log in. But most of the case, the password, if you forget the password, the new one will be sent to your email address after filling out some information, after answering some questions. Do you still keep the correspondence with him, with her? Do you still keep the correspondence with her, with him? Are you enjoying the correspondence with foreign friends? Do you still keep the correspondence with your friends living in other countries? Do you still keep the correspondence with your friends living in other countries? I used to keep the correspondence with my friends from other countries, but today we have a social networking service, so I don't have to send the letter and so on. We can communicate with each other much easier now. Correspondence. The prosecutors are trying to prove the correspondence after the fingerprints were confirmed as a correspondence to the criminal. He was arrested. Correspondence to the fingerprint. The police officer is trying to confirm the correspondence to the fingerprint. Correspondence to my working day. Correspondence to my birthday. Correspondence. Do you still keep the correspondence with your friends living in other countries? Do you still keep the correspondence with your friends living in other countries? I was surprised at the correspondence to my interest. No one has correspondence to my interests. Not many people have the not many people have the correspondence to my interests. Some people try to avoid buying fashionable things in order to avoid correspondence to each other, correspondence to others. To be unique. Correspondence to the email address. Correspondence to the password. We have to show the correspondence to the profile picture at the entrance, before entering. We need to show the correspondence to the profile picture on the examination card before entering. Now let's hear the story from the correspondent from the country, region. Now let's hear the story. Now let's hear the live from the correspondent dispatched in the region. Correspondent. Correspondent. The press has a correspondence dispatched in some countries. The press has correspondence dispatched to some countries. The press has some correspondents living in other countries. Some countries. Delegated, dispatched to some countries. The press has correspondents dispatched to some countries. The good system of the job offer is that we can apply for those which corresponding to our schedule. A good feature of the job offer is that we can only take on the one corresponding to our schedule. The good feature of the job offer system is that we can get only the one corresponding to our schedule. The good feature of the job offering system is that we can only take on the one corresponding to our schedule. The good feature of the job offering system is that we can only take on the one corresponding to our schedule. It is often said that we shouldn't set our password corresponding to our birthday, phone number, and so on, because they are easy to be guessed. It is often warned that we shouldn't set our password the numbers corresponding to our birthday or phone numbers, because they are easy to be guessed. It is often warned that we should set our password corresponding to our birthday phone number, and so on, because they are easy to be guessed. I should have challenged at earlier stage, at the earlier phase in my life. At this phase, it might too early to swim in the sea because it's the end of March. But the story is different when it comes to in Okinawa. As far as I know, some beaches open to the public in April in Okinawa. It's amazing for me. We enter the final phase of the game. At the crucial phase, the tension between the two countries enter the unprecedented worst phase, grave phase. The relationship between the two countries enter the worst phase, the most serious phase ever. The production of the new product entered the latter phase of the completion. The construction of the building entered the latter phase of the construction. In the first phase of the lecture, we introduced ourselves to each other. Some employees or students show some talented skills or aura in the first phase. Some students or employees show some special aura or skill in the first phase. We cannot achieve anything in a day. We have to face it gradually, little by little. Many things are faced little by little. Nothing will be done in a day. Nothing will be done in a day. Productions, accomplishments, and other things are faced. Nothing can be done in a day. Nothing great can be done in a day. They are faced little by little, gradually. The construction is phased gradually. The construction is done gradually. The construction is phased. The pay raise is rate. The pay raise is phased according to your accomplishments. The construction is phased. The production is phased. The experiment is phased. The experiment is phased. The experiment phased. The experiment is phased. We usually face everything, including study, production, construction, and so on. Everything cannot be done in a day. Nothing can be done in a day. Everything is phased. The treatment is also phased. The treatment is also phased. The treatment on my teeth are phased. I have an appointment with my dentist next week. The treatment on my teeth are also phased. The treatment on my teeth are also phased. According to the weather forecast, the festival will be staged on schedule. The festival will be staged on schedule, but it might be cancelled according to the weather forecast. If it rains, it will be postponed. It will be put off until the next week. The project had been staged long time ago before it was decided at a meeting in order to avoid rejection. The project had been already staged before it was decided. What are you staging? When was the project staged? When was the event staged? When was the stage? When was the event staged? When was the event staged? Something new, unique event will be staged at the meeting today. A totally different and unique event should be staged in order to attract customers, in order to draw customers. Such a unique event will be staged in order to attract customers. We are wondering if the event will be staged on schedule. We are wondering if the event will be staged on schedule. Whether the event will be staged depends on the weather condition. Whether or not the event will be staged depends on the weather forecast. The weather condition. It is very easy to say, but difficult to stage. Put into practice. It's easy to say, but difficult to put it in practice. Put it into 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 practice. It's easy to say, but difficult to stage. It's difficult to put into practice. Put it 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 into practice. It's easy to say, but difficult to stage. Something evil things might be staged in the board of directors, which might affect us drastically. Evil things might be staged in the board of directors, which might affect battery on us, which might affect battery us, which might affect us battery, which might have a bad effect on us, which might have a bad effect on us. Evil plan might be staged. Evil plan might be being staged in the meeting, which might have a bad effect on us. Evil plan might be being discussed, staged. Evil plan might be being staged in the meeting, which might affect battery us, which might have a battery effect on us, which might have battery effect on us, which might have battery effect on us, which may battery effect on us, which may battery effect on us, which might have a battery effect on us, which might have battery effect on us, which might have battery effect on us. Whenever I speak at the podium on the stage, I get nervous. I forget everything which I prepared. Whenever I deliver a speech at the podium, at the stage, I get panic and forget everything I prepared beforehand. And some people are matured at an earlier stage mentally. I'm not still matured mentally. Judging the stage, if it is too early or too late, might be difficult. Judging whether the stage is early or late might be difficult. So we need to get advice from specialists. At every stage, basic things are very important. It can be said to everything. At every stage of everything, basic is the most important thing, part in everything. Reconfirmation is done and must be done at every stage. As far as I know, every curriculum, all of the curriculums are finished at the stage of 2-year student in the school. As far as I know, all of the curriculums are finished by the time they enter 3rd-year student in the high school, and they prepare for the entrance examination from the 3rd year. As far as I know, all of the curriculums are finished at the stage of by the stage of entering 3rd year. From the earlier stage of the education, some students show the talent. From the earlier stage of the education, some students showed their talents. In the earlier stage in his career, he was promoted to the president of the company in his 20s. At earlier stage of his career, he was promoted to the CEO of the company in his 20s. Some people guess it is too early to become the president at the stage. At this stage, you are not allowed to smoke a cigarette at the age of 18. But you have the right to vote because the law was amended recently. I really regret not having challenged at earlier stage of my life. I should have challenged more things at earlier stage in my career, in my life. I should have challenged more things in the stage of my school days. I should have challenged more things at the stage of my school days. I should have studied more at the stage of my school days. As far as I know, all of the curriculums which are taught in high school are finished by the stage of entering the third grade year in the high school. As far as I know, all of the curriculums are finished by the stage of entering the 3rd year in the high school. As far as I know, all of the curriculums which are taught in 3 years in other high school are finished by the stage of entering the 3rd year in the high school. As far as I know, all of the curriculums which are taught in other high schools for 3 years are finished by the stage of entering the 3rd year in the high school. As far as I know, all of the curriculums which are taught in 3 years in other high schools are finished by the stage of entering the third year in the high school. Before entering the operation, we stretch to the music every morning. Before entering the operation, we stretch our body every morning. Before starting the operation, we stretch our body to some music every morning. Is the operation of the machine difficult? At first I thought everything difficult in the assembly line, but once I get used to it, they are very easy. I found them easy. At first, machine operation looked so confusing, complex, intricate. But now I found them easy because I got used to it. 2 or 3 operations are scheduled today, so the surgeon is very busy today. After passing six consecutive practical test in front of the master, you can operate the machine on your own. After 30 years of operation of the restaurant, the couple closed the locally loved restaurant finally, in the end. The 30-year operation of the restaurant came to an end. The 30-year operation of the restaurant came to an end. The old couple brought the 30-year operation of the restaurant to an end. The old couple brought the 30-year operation of the restaurant to an end. The old couple brought the 30-year operation of the restaurant to an end. Long year operation is one of the elements to be trusted. Long year operation is one of the elements to be trusted. Until what time does operation be done? Until what time is the operation done in the restaurant? Until what time is the operation done in the restaurant? operation on my body. I've got through some operations on my body. I've got through some operations on my arms. I've gone through some operations on my body. 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 I've gone through. I've undertaken. I've undertaken some operations on my body. I've gone through some operations on my body. Does the operation of the machine difficult? Difficult? Is the operation of the machine difficult? When I was transferred to the assembly line, I thought the operation of the machine would be difficult, but once I got used to it, it's easy now. So it's very important to challenge before deciding if it is difficult or not. The operation of the company is being swayed by the recession and obstinate CEO. When the machine is in operation, the red light is lit in order to notify us of the running. When the machine is in operation, the red lamp is lit. 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 When the machine is in operation, the red light is lit. The red light is lit. The red light is lit. The red color is lit. The red light lights. I'm sorry, I'm in operation. I cannot talk to you. While the staffs are in operation, please refrain from talking to them, just in case, for safety. When the board written in operation is hung in front of the door, please refrain from entering because it is during the important meeting. If there is a board written in operation in front of the door, please refrain from entering. Excuse me, is this restaurant running now? Because I saw a board written in operation in front of the door. Sure, thank you. Have a seat. Excuse me, is a very old building in operation? And some machines are operation 24 hours, 24/7. Some machines are in operation even on New Year's, 24 hours. Some of the machines in this assembly line are in operation 24/7. Although you might know it, if machines are not in operation for few days, it won't work well after the restart, It takes time for the machines to go back to the normal orbit and to have the stable production. In order to it takes time for the machines to go back to the normal orbit to have the stable production after the restart. After a few days stop, after a few day suspension, this might be the function of the machine. If we keep our machines running, the machines will run stably. But once we suspend the production of the machine, once we stop the production, once we suspend the machine for holidays, it will take time for the machines to go back to the normal orbit to have the stable running after the restart. We have to adjust it. In operation, some machines are in operation 24 hours. Some machines in the assembly line are in operation. Is the shop in operation Monday? Is the hair salon in operation? Do you know some hair salons which are in operation even on Monday? Do you know if there are some hair salons which are in operation even on Mondays? Do you know if there are some hair salons which are open, which in operation even on Mondays? I'm sorry, but all of the rooms are in operation. I'm sorry to say that, but all of the rooms in this net cafe are currently in operation. We regret to say that all of the rooms in this net cafe currently are in operation, so there are no vacant room available now. We are sorry. We regret to say. We regret to inform you that all of the rooms in this net cafe are in operation. Believe it or not, the locally loved restaurant has been operated for more than 100 years. Believe it or not, the tree is 3,000 years old. Believe it or not, the restaurant has been operated for more than 300 years. I had some parts of my body operated. I had some parts of my body operated. I remember having some of my parts on my body operated. My arm was operated. You need to pass 6 consecutive time practical test before in front of the master before you can use it on your own. You need to pass 6 consecutive practical tests in front of the master before you can use it on your own. You need to pass 6 consecutive time of the test in front of the master before you can use it on your own. You need to pass 6 times practical test, 6 consecutive practical test. You need to pass 6 consecutive successive practical tests in front of the master before you can use it without the master, without the supervision from the master. You need to pass 6 consecutive successive practical tests before the master in order to operate it on your own. You need to pass 6 consecutive practical tests in front of the master so that you can use it, operate it without the supervision on your own. You need to pass 6 consecutive practical tests. You need to pass 6 successive tests. You need to pass 6 successive times. Consecutive, consecutive practical training, practical tests. You need to pass 6 successive. You need to pass six successive tests. You need to pass 5 consecutive practical tests in front of the master before you can use it on your own. My teeth are operated today. My teeth are operated tomorrow. My teeth will be operated tomorrow. I have some parts of my body operated. I got some parts of my body operated by doctors. I have some parts of my body operated by doctors. Believe it or not, the restaurant has been operated for more than 200 years. Believe it or not, the restaurant has been operated for 200 years. Some of the machines are operated 24/7, even during the New Year holidays. Although it might make you surprised, the shop operates 24/7, 365 days, no day offs. Some of the machines in this assembly line operate 24/7, 365 days, no stops. Stopping of the machine means when it has something wrong with it. Stopping the machine is when it breaks down. Some of the machines in this assembly line operate 24/7. The machine has been operating since this morning, and so far it has been no problems. The machine has been operating since this morning and has no problems right now. How many days do you want to operate? How many days do you want to operate as a profession this year after the pandemic? How many days do you want to operate after the pandemic? How many days do you want to operate as a profession? How many days do you want to operate as a tour guide this year? How many days do you want to operate as a tour guide this year? How many days do you want to operate as a grammar school teacher this year? We cannot operate without eating every one day. We cannot operate without eating and drinking in a day. Gas activated cars cannot operate without gas, petroleum. Most of the cars cannot operate without gas, without petroleum. Most of the gadgets cannot operate without electricity. Most of the products in this world cannot operate without a supply of electricity. I'd like to cooperate with your study if I can, as possible as I can. Thank you for cooperating. Thank you for your cooperation. Thank you for cooperating with me. Is there something that I can be cooperative? Is there something that I can cooperate with? Cooperate. Is there something that I can cooperate with? Is there something I can cooperate with? Is there something that I can cooperate with? Thank you for your cooperation. Thanks to your cooperation, we seem to be able to get to the airport on time. Thanks to your cooperation, we could reach to the airport on time. Thanks to your cooperation, we could reach the airport on time. Thanks to your cooperation, we could reach the airport on time. Thanks to your cooperation, we could reach the airport on time. Some people are cooperative, while others not. Some people are cooperative, while others not. Some people are cooperative, while others are 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 not. Cooperative. Is your boss cooperative? Are all of your colleagues cooperative? Are all of your coworkers cooperative? All of your coworkers cooperative? Are 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 all of your colleagues cooperative? Are all of your colleagues cooperative? Are all of your colleagues cooperative? Are all of your coworkers cooperative? Cooperative, cooperative, cooperative. You are so cooperative. It is so cooperative of you to carry the luggage across the walkway for the old lady. It is so cooperative of you to help your classmate with the English. You are very cooperative to help with the English for your friends. You are very cooperative to wait for your friends for lunch, although he delayed. He showed up 30 minutes later. You are very cooperative to bring the homework to your friend's house, although it is far. Cooperative, cooperative, cooperative. Admitting your accomplishment is great, but our boss will not recognize its accomplishment. Admitting you are making an effort, it is not contributing to our society, our company. I admit that my brain doesn't work fast. I admit my brain doesn't work fast. I admit that my brain doesn't work fast. I admit that my brain doesn't work fast. I admit that. I admit it. The criminal finally admitted. The suspect admitted in the end. How much is admission? Have we got the admission? Some guests specially got the admission. Some guests specially got the admission into the facility. Some guests got the admission to the facility specially. Some guests got the admission to the facility, especially admission. Admission. Do you have the admission? Your examination card will work as an admission. Please produce it at the entrance. The examination card will work as the admission, so please produce it at the entrance to the staff. The examination card works as an admission, so please produce it to the staff at the entrance. Admission. If you don't have the admission, you cannot enter. How can I get the admission? Please buy the ticket. Some guests got special admission. Some guests got the admission specially from the author of the event. Admission. Only the staff have the admission of entering the facility from the rear door, rear exit. Only the staff and people related have the admission from the admission into the facility from the rear door. Only the staff and related people have the admission of the facility, admission into the facility from the rear door. Only those related have the admission into the facility from the rear door. Admission. Admission to the facility from the rear door is limited to those related. Admission. Special admission to into the facility was given to the guests. The examination card works as the admission, so please show it to the staff at the entrance. The admittance into the facility is allowed by 9 o'clock p.m. After that, any entrance is allowed, so please bear that in mind. So please keep that in mind. Admittance into the facility is limited to 1 million. If the number exceeds 1 million, we have to close the entrance. So please bear that in mind. Please keep that in mind. The final admittance. The time for the final admittance into the facility is 9 o'clock p.m. The final time. The admittance time is up to 9 o'clock p.m. After that time, any admittance is allowed. The entrance will be closed. Only exit is allowed after the time. Admittance is available from north, south, east, and west entrances. Admittance can be done from either north or south exit entrances. The admittance is allowed up to 9 o'clock p.m. The admittance to the facility is up to 9 o'clock p.m. The admittance into the facility is subject to being closed if the number reaches 1 million. So please bear that in mind. Please keep that in mind. The admittance into the facility is subject to being closed if the number reaches 1 million. The admittance into the facility will be closed if the number reaches 1 million. I did enclose my resume into the envelope. Admittedly, I admittedly enclosed the resume into the envelope before I submitted it. I checked it over and over again. Time and again. Admittedly. The tourists are admittedly coming back. The tourists are admittedly coming back. Which will be the good news for tourism industry. The tourists are admittedly coming back, but at the same time, over-tourism is also concerned. The tourists are coming back admittedly, but at the same time, over-tourism is also concerned. Everything should be taken balance. Everything should be taken balance. Yes. Admittedly. Your academic performance is admittedly excellent, but academic performance and working on the spot are different story. Accomplishing academic masterpiece and working on the spot are different. Even if you have achieved academic accomplishments, you might not be able to work well on the spot because you don't have the experience. So the two things are different. The two are different things. Studying is nothing but a preparation. Admittedly. Musician is admittedly very cool, but I don't have the confidence to perform in front of people. I'm not confident that I can perform before the public, in front of the public. The plan is admittedly organized well by the specialist. But some people still cannot, but some people are skeptical of it. but some people are still skeptical of it. The quality is guaranteed by the big company, admittedly, but I'm still skeptical of it. I passed the examination, admittedly, but I'm concerned about whether I can work well on the spot because I don't have the experience. Although I passed the difficult examination, I can't have the confidence. Although I admittedly passed the examination, passed. Mm, Although I admittedly passed the examination, although I admittedly passed the difficult examination, I cannot have the confidence because I don't have the experience. Admittedly, I passed the difficult examination. I passed the difficult examination. Admittedly, I passed the difficult examination. Admittedly, I passed the difficult examination. I cannot have the confidence yet. My friend disappointed at my low appetite during the tour. I disappointed my friend with low appetite because he wanted me to eat a lot the local food. My friend disappointed with me because I couldn't eat a lot local food. Don't give me an extra disappointing news. Don't give me an extra disappointing news. Don't give me an extra disappointing news. The sudden cancellation of the school trip was such a disappointing news to us. The sudden cancellation of the school trip was such a disappointing news to everybody, including me. You as well as you was disappointed with the sudden cancellation of the sports meeting because I was looking forward to enjoying it. It was postponed until next week. It was put off until next week. My disappointment cannot be hidden. My disappointment cannot be hidden because it appears on my face. My disappointment cannot be hidden because it appears. It obviously appears on my face. Because my disappointment obviously appears on my face, so I cannot hide my disappointment. The supervisor took responsibility for the rules of the game. The supervisor of the baseball team held responsibility for the rules. The supervisor took responsibility for the rules of the game. Who is in charge of the section in chief? Who is in charge of section in chief now? I'd like to have a word with him. I'd like to have a word with him or her. Do you have an experience as a supervisor in a department? Have you had an experience as a supervisor in a group or in a department? Supervisor. Who is the supervisor? supervisor. Who is the supervisor in the department? Who is the supervisor of the project? Who is the supervisor of the movie production? Who is the supervisor of the production? Who is the supervisor of the production? Who is the supervisor of the production line? I have an experience of supervising the production line, assembly line for 10 years. Do you have an experience of supervising a team or a group or something like that? Oh, your supervisor is the same one who supervised me. Oh, you still have the same supervisor as me. When I was a student, I was also supervised and educated by him. Oh, you have the same supervisor as me. I was also educated and taught of the technique and skill of how to play baseball by him. You still have the same supervisor as me. I was also taught how to play baseball by him. He's been supervising the baseball team of the school for a long time. The teacher has been supervising the baseball team for a long time in the same school. Who is the administrator of the department now? Who is the administrator of the website? Who is the administrator of the website? Who is the administrator of the company? Who is the administrator? Who is the administrator of the website? Who is the administrator of the website? Who is the administrator? Who is the administrator of the company? Administrator, 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 administrator. 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 To everyone's surprise, the employee was promoted to the administrator of the department. To everyone's surprise, the employee was promoted to the administrator of the branch office in Osaka. Administrator. Administrator. Administration of a company is not as easy as you think. Administration of a company is not as easy as you think. Administration of the plants is not as easy as you think. Administration of the medicine is very delicate. Due to the delicate administration of the medicine, I always bring a bag, installation bag, which keep the same temperature inside, to bring the medicine, to get the delicate medicine from the pharmacy. The administration of the medicine I get from the pharmacy regularly is very delicate. I have to keep the same temperature. I have to keep the same temperature when I bring back the medicine during the way from the pharmacy to my house. So I bring the specially designed installation bag, which can keep the same temperature inside the bag So I keep the medicine in the insulation bag to keep the same temperature to on the way from the pharmacy to my house. Are you interested in the administration of a company, or do you prefer to be hired in a company? Do you know the longest administration? Do you know who had the longest administration of Japan? Do you know which prime minister had the longest administration? Do you know which prime minister had the longest administration? Who is administering the company now? When I used to be at the company, another CEO was administrating. Who administers the company now? I'd like to know who administers the company now. I'd like to know who administers the company now. I'd like to know who administers the company now. I'd like to know who administers the company now. The facility has been administered 24 hours by the security members. The premises of the school have been administered by security guards, security officers. The premises of the university has been administered 24 hours. The facility has been administered 24 hours by security men, security officers. The vault in the bank has been administered by security cameras and security officers. Do you have the skill to administer the time? Do you have the skill to administer the time? Like when to depart, how long you should spend on the tourist spot and so on. Do you have the skill to administer your itinerary so that the tour goes on schedule? Do you have the skill to administer the time of the itinerary so that the tour proceeds along the itinerary schedule? Do you have the skill to administer the itinerary so that you can visit all of the facilities on schedule? Do you have the skill to administer the itinerary Do you have the skill to administer the time of the itinerary schedule? Do you have the skill to administer the time of the itinerary so that you can visit all of the facilities on time. Do you have the administrative skill of the tour? Do you have the administrative skill of the tour so that all of the guests can visit the destination on time? Do you have the administrative skill of time? Do you have the administrative skill of the time? Do you have the administrative skill of the time? Do you have the administrative skill of the time? Do you have the administrative skill of the time? Administrative skill of the time is very important when it comes to tourism, so that we won't miss the train, buses, and other public transportations. Where is the administrative building is located? Where is the administrative building is located? Where is the administrative building located? Where is the administrative building located? I'd like to know where the administrative building is located and the way to have the access to. How can I access? How can I access to the administrative building? Administrative skill, administrative knowledge. Do you have administrative knowledge to a certain extent, to some degree, to some extent? Administrative 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 office administrative duty administrative position administrative position administrative position administrative position administrative officer administrative officer administrative position. He was promoted to administrative position. Administrative position. Pronunciation is very difficult. Administrative position, occupation, profession. Administrative administrative building, administrative officer, administrative officer, administrative officer, administrative right, administrative duty, administrative duty. I'm searching for a pair of speakers which can bring out good features of my amplifier. Which speakers do you recommend? I'm searching for a pair of speakers which can bring out good features of my fancy amplifiers. teacher should bring out good sides of the students' talents, and so on. Teachers should try to bring out good sides of the students. Teachers should bring out good sides of the students. The teacher noticed talent in the student, and the student's talent was brought out more by the teacher's education. At some point, the teacher noticed the awesome talent in the student. Since then, he started to learn about drawing until he became famous. At some point, the teacher noticed the talent in painting of him. At some point, the teacher noticed awesome talent in the student regarding the painting. And since then, the student started to learn how to draw, paint, and so on before he became famous. His talent was brought out hugely by the education. If the teacher hadn't noticed the talent in the painting in him, he would not have become famous. If the teacher hadn't noticed the talent in the painting in him, he would have had different course. He would have taken the different course in his life. If the teacher had not noticed the awesome talent in painting in him, the student would have taken a different course in his life. If you don't behave as you are told by your doctor, the medicine will not work, and the good sides of the medicine will not be brought out if you don't behave as you were told by your doctor. If you don't behave as you were told by your doctor, the medicine doesn't work. The good sides of the medicine will not be brought out. Are you easy to give in to temptations like shops, smells from the restaurants, and so on? Can you go home straightly? Can you directly go home? Can you directly go home? Not stopping by any shops. Not stopping by, not dropping by, not dropping on at any shops. Are you easy to give in to temptations? I often give in to temptation of watching YouTube videos, although I have to concentrate on my duty. I think we cannot change our conscience, but we can change the environment so that we can focus on the duty. For example, nowadays maybe we can put our smartphones at somewhere out of our reach during the duty. If there is a smartphone around us, we will touch it and check it. we will soon give in to temptations such as smartphone, computer, and so on. The association finally gave in to protest from citizens and agreed on decreasing in the price. The entity finally gave in to the protest from the citizens and agreed on the decrease in the price, monthly fee. the entity finally gave in to the claims from the citizens and agreed on the decrease in the monthly fee. She ate a set of menu. What's more, she ordered 2 more sets of the menu. We were surprised at it. Something special, something miracle happened to me today. I won the lottery, although it was just for 1,000 yen. What's more, I got free can of juice at the vending machine because I could hit the number 777 and I could get extra one. It was miracle. So in the course of our life, good things happen to us. But we cannot tell when the good things will happen in the future. It might be tomorrow, next week, next year, I don't know, we don't know. But it definitely comes. Good things definitely comes. I met a colleague who worked from night to morning. What's more, he went to work after the night shift from the morning. I met a colleague who worked so hard with night shift. He worked from night to morning, and he also went to another workplace from the morning, which surprised me. I try to put things away immediately after usage. I try to put things away soon after the usage. I try to put things away soon after the usage, otherwise my room will get messy. Are you spoiled? Or try to solve everything on your own? Did you spoil your children? Are you spoiling your children? Were you spoiled when you were a child? Or obliged to solve everything on your own? Many events were spoiled by pandemic. Many events were spoiled, ruined by the pandemic soon after, 2 years ago. I was spoiled to a certain extent, to some degrees, to some extent, when I was a kid. Because I asked my parents to buy video games frequently. Because I had my parents buy many video games. Because I made my parents to buy many video games. Because I made my parents buy many video games, which I really regret. I really regret. which I really regret. I was spoiled to a certain extent because I had my parents buy many video games, which I really regret. I was spoiled to a certain extent because I got my parents to buy many video games. Because I got my parents to buy many video games. I got my parents to buy very video games. Not only to my parents but grandparents, relatives, and so on. Maybe definitely I was spoiled. My adolescence was destroyed, spoiled, ruined by hospitalization. I took the course not many people take. I took the course in my life. I took the course in my adolescence which not many adolescents take. My adolescence was destroyed, ruined, spoiled. My adolescence was spoiled by hospitalization. I took many different courses, which not many people take. I took many different courses in my adolescence, which not many adolescents take. Many events spoiled during the pandemic. Many events were obliged to be cancelled or postponed or put off due to the pandemic, owing to the pandemic, on account of the pandemic. Many events were obliged to be cancelled. 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 Many events were obliged to be cancelled due to the pandemic. Many events were spoiled. Many events 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 spoiled. It is not said too much it is not said too much to say that my adolescence was spoiled by my disease and hospitalization. It is not said too much. It is not said too much. It is not said too much to see my adolescence ruined by hospitalization and disease. It is not said too much. It is not said too much to regard my adolescence spoiled by my disease and hospitalization. It is not said too much to view my adolescence as ruined, spoiled by my disease. The sports meeting was spoiled. The sports meeting spoiled due to the heavy rain. The sports meeting spoiled due to the heavy rain. Don't let your dream spoiled. Don't let your dreams spoiled. Don't let your dreams spoiled. Don't let your dreams spoiled. Even careless remarks will spoil your career, so please be careful. The gadget spoiled uh, with the contact of the water. With the contact with the water. In close contact with the water. I'm a sort of spoiled child, spoiled person. I used to be a spoiled person, spoiled child. I used to be a spoiled person. I used to be a spoiled child. I used to be a spoiled person. I'm kind of spoiled person. I'm sort of spoiled person. I'm kind 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 of spoiled person. I'm sort of spoiled person. I'm sort of spoiled person. I'm kind 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 of spoiled person. I'm sort of spoiled person. What are the differences between the spoiled and independent child? I really respect the elementary school students who take the Yamanote line of the train in Tokyo. If I look back on my elementary school days, I even couldn't take the train on my own. And I even didn't know where the train station was. So whenever I see the elementary school students taking Yamanote line of the train in Tokyo, I respect them, who can take the very confusing train. It must be super difficult for them to take the train though, but they can. So whenever I see them, I respect them. Because I couldn't have done it, because I couldn't do that when I was an elementary school student. I didn't even know where the train station was, let alone how to take it, much less how to take it. I didn't even know where the train station was, let alone how to take it, much less how to take it. The information gathered to the police station corresponded to the spoil stolen by the thief. Spoil seems to be happened. Spoil seems to have happened. Spoil seems to have happened in the bank. Spoil cannot be allowed with any excuses. Spoil cannot be allowed with any excuses. Spoil of the territory, spoil of the land, spoil of the video game, spoil of money, money spoil. The prosecutors doubt that the spoil might have been done by a project, by an entity, not individually. The prosecutors doubt if the spoil might have been planned in a society, in an entity, not individually. The entity was arrested for repeatedly committing the spoil. The criminals were arrested for repeatedly committing the spoil. The criminal was arrested for repeating the spoil from the shop. The spoils found from the house corresponded to the belongings of the owners. The spoils found from the house of the criminal corresponded to the information gathered from the owner. The criminal admitted his crime and the spoil. The criminal admitted his spoil of the merchandise from the shop. The spoils found from the house of the criminal were corresponded to the information gathered from the owner. The spoils from the house corresponded to the information gathered from the owner. The spoil of the vending machine by using chain was captured from the security camera in the security camera. The footage of the criminal trying to pull the vending machine was captured in the security camera. The footage of the criminal trying to steal the vending machine by surrounding it with a rope and pulling it with the van. The footage of the spoil of the criminal trying to steal the vending machine by surrounding it with the rope and pulling it with a minivan. The security camera captured the criminal's spoil. The security camera captured the criminal's spoil of the merchandise in the store. The security camera captured the footage of the criminal trying to steal merchandise. The security camera captured the spoils of the money by the criminal, by the theft. The security camera captured the footage of the spoil by the theft in the shopping mall. Mount Fuji is classified as an active volcano. Did you know that? But it last erupted about 300 years ago. Whales are classified as mammal, right? Whales are classified as mammals, right? Mammal. As whales are classified as mammals, right? Mammals. Mammals. Mammal. 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 Mammals. Mammals. Whales are classified. Whales classified as mammals, right? Mammal. 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 Mammals. Whales classified as mammals, right? Whales are classified as mammals, right? Whales classified, distinguished as mammals, right? Mammal, 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 mammals, 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 mammals. Mount Fuji is classified as active volcano. Most of the lectures at the university were beyond the reach of my understanding, comprehension. Most of the lectures at the university were beyond the reach of my understanding, comprehension, apprehension. The beauty of Kabira Bay in Ishigaki Island was beyond the reach of my explanation, beyond the reach of expression. The beauty of Kabira Bay in Ishigaki Island was beyond the reach of expression, beyond the reach of expression. My ideas are usually beyond the reach of others' understanding, imagination, prediction, and so on. My ideas are usually beyond the reach of understanding of others. My ideas are usually beyond the reach of understanding of others. What made you want to be a what made you want to be a doctor? What made you want to be a surgeon? What made you want to be a diplomat? What made you want to be a physician? What made you want to be a physicist? I majored in biology at the university. I studied biology at the university. I studied a little about biology At the university, I studied a little about biology from the biologist at the university. I'm really proud of you in my team. I was so glad to be said they were proud of me in the group. I was so glad to hear that they were proud of me in the group, in the team, in the research team. I was so glad to hear that they were proud of me in the group, in the research team. I was so glad to hear that they were proud of me in the research team. I was so glad to hear that they were proud of me in the research team. I was so proud of having you. I was so proud of having you in our research team. I was so glad to hear that they were proud of having me in the research team. The wooden pagoda boasts the tallest height in the country. Tokyo Sky Tree boasts the highest broadcasting tower in Japan, at the height of 634 meters. At the height of 634 meters, Tokyo Sky Tree boasts the tallest broadcasting tower in Japan. Do you mind me opening the window? Would you mind me opening the window? Would you mind if I open the window? Do you mind if I open the window? Would you mind if I took a day off tomorrow? Would you mind me taking a day off tomorrow? Would you mind me taking a day off tomorrow? Would you mind me taking a day off tomorrow? Would you mind if I take the day off tomorrow? Would you mind if I take a day off tomorrow suddenly? No, not at all. I am really proud of having you in our research team. I was so glad to hear that they were proud of having me in the research team. I was so glad to hear that they were proud of having me in the research team. Do you mind sleeping in the dormitory room? Yeah, I really care. I do care. I cannot sleep with anyone else. I need to be alone to have a better sleep. I'm particular about where to stay, where to sleep. I cannot compromise to that. I cannot compromise. I cannot compromise that. I really care. I really mind where to stay, where to sleep. I really mind where to sleep. I really mind where to sleep. Do you mind me eating a fried chicken next to you? Do you mind me eating a fried chicken next to you? Do you mind me eating a frankfurt next to you? Most of the passengers will care the one eating food in the public in the train. Would you mind opening the window? Would you mind having a different special shift tomorrow? Would you mind substituting for me 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 tomorrow? Would you mind me opening the window? Would you mind me having a day off tomorrow? Suddenly. Would you mind me having a day off tomorrow? Do you mind me opening the window? Do you mind me having a day off tomorrow? Would you mind if I take a day off tomorrow? Do you mind if I take a day off tomorrow? Would you mind if I took a day off tomorrow? I don't mind working night shift. I don't mind working night shift. I don't mind working in a night shift. With night shift. I don't care. I don't mind working with night shift. In night shift. At night shift. In night shift. On educational grounds. I should have studied harder when I was a kid. I'm studying now to get back the loss from my adolescence. I should have studied harder on educational grounds. On educational grounds, many parents force their children to go cram school. On educational grounds, many parents force their children to go to cram schools. On educational grounds, many children are forced to go to cram schools. On educational grounds, many children are forced to go to cram schools after school. On educational grounds, some children are forced to go to cram schools after school. On educational grounds, some students are forced to go to a cram school after school. On economical grounds, I skipped traveling the world. On economical grounds, I skipped having a travel. On economic grounds, I didn't go on a trip. On economic grounds, I decided to stay at home, not having a travel. On economic grounds, I decided not to travel, even domestically. On economic grounds and other problems, I decided to have only domestic travel. I decided to go on a domestic trip. I decided to have only domestic trip. I decided to go on a domestic trip only. On economic grounds, I decided not to go on even domestic trip. On economic grounds, I stopped using the medicine. On economic grounds, I'm of two minds whether I should keep using the medicine because it is too expensive for me. On economic grounds, I wonder when I should keep using it until On economic grounds, I wonder when I should stop using the medicine. On, on economic grounds, I'm of two minds whether I should stop using the medicine because it is too expensive. I have to find another treatment which is not costly. Hmm. On economic grounds, I'm searching for another job. On economic grounds, I'm searching for extra jobs. On, e- on economic grounds, I'm searching for another job. Are you opposed to fortune telling paper? Are you opposed to the theory? Are you opposed to the policy? Are you opposed to the policy? Are you opposed to the bill, which is said to be passed into law by tomorrow? Are you opposed to the bill which is supposed to be passed through? Are you opposed to the bill which is said to be passed into law by tomorrow? Music is a kind of therapy for me. A cup of coffee and music are kind of therapy for me. Music and a cup of coffee are a kind of therapy for me. Music and a cup of coffee are sort of therapy for me. Do you know the Shinkansen, so-called bullet train? Bullet train. Have you taken Shinkansen, so-called bullet train? Have you taken the so-called bullet train, Shinkansen? Have you taken the so-called bullet train, Shinkansen? Have you taken the so-called what is called bullet train? Have you taken the what is called bullet train? Have you taken the this what they say bullet train? Bullet train. Have you taken what they say bullet train, Shinkansen? Have you taken so-called bullet train, Shinkansen? He is so-called music lover. He is a so-called music lover. He is a so-called music lover. He is so-called a music lover. He is so-called a music lover. He is so-called music lover. He is a so-called music lover. He is a so-called traveler. He is a so-called backpacker. She is a so-called backpacker. My initial motive of entering the university was to learn about audiovisual, but my interest had changed. My interest changed in the course. My initial motive of entering the university was to learn about making a pair of speakers and audiovisual, but my interest changed during the course. My initial motive of entering the university was to learn about audiovisual, but my interest changed during the course. Some diseases are proceeding without pain, symptoms, and so on. So it's scary. So we should go to see a doctor regularly. Some diseases are proceeding without symptoms. What symptoms are what symptoms does the disease have? 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 Tiredness, fever, sore throat, runny nose, and so on. Do you often have runny nose and sore throat? When I was infected with the common cold, I had sore throat. When I was infected with the common cold, when I came down with a common cold, whenever I come down with a common cold, I usually have runny nose. When I looked at the map of Tokyo trains, it was more confusing than spider's net. It was as confusing as spider's net. Whenever I look at the train map of Tokyo, which confuses me. Whenever I look at the train map of Tokyo, which confuses me, which complexes me, intricates me, confuses me. It never fails to confuse me. It never fails to confuse me. It never fails to confuse me. I like the unique structure of the building, of the Tokyo Metropolitan Government Building. I like the unique structure of the Tokyo Metropolitan Government Building. It's like two buildings at the same time. It's like Twin Tower. I like the unique structure of a house. It's like a very, I can feel the playful spirit of the architects. I like the unique structure of a house. I can feel the playful spirit of the architects. I really wanted my house to be more unique structure, so that I could enjoy play with, so that I could enjoy play with, so that I could enjoy playing with hide and seek when I was a kid, with many hiding places, spaces, and so on. I often confuse tissue with cell. Is the tissue composed of cells? Is the tissue composed of cells? Does the tissue consist of cells? Does the tissue consist of cells? I often confuse tissue with cells. I often confuse tissue with cells. I often confuse tissue and cell. I often confuse tissue with cell. Okay, I will finish speaking here. Thank you for watching. See you next time. See you.